E3 2004 was a year that saw a big vamp to video games, either story-wise or just fun entertainment. Nintendo was showing off their new tech, from the DS, and of course more GameCube games and Game Boy Advance games. But one specific game in particular would change the horror genre in the video game world, and that was Resident Evil 4. It showed off its cool gameplay mechanics, and it was very different. It was a revamp from the original Resident Evil games that had the fixed camera angles. While many other horror games would still follow that up until a certain point after Resident Evil 4 came out, it changed that entire landscape. And I mean literally changed it, either for the better or the worst. Either way, Resident Evil 4 was a revolutionary game, to the point where it got re-released multiple times. And it's one of my favorite horror games in the Resident Evil series, and pretty much the only one I beat first before everything else. But now we're at a point where the new Resident Evil 4 remake has been released. For a while I thought, why remake the fourth remake? It's fairly, okay, it's been years since the original, but I just felt that it's a little too new to remake. I understand remaking the first one, the second one, and heck, even the third one, but the fourth one? I don't know. Once it came out and beating it for the first time, what do I think of the remake? Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Talk. The gaming section, actually, the gaming remake section. I gotta say, I'm ready to get onto this review and talk about Resident Evil 4 Remake. If it's better than the original, or is the original still better than the remake? Guess you'll find out. Let's go. The story is pretty much the same. Leon now works for the government and the President of the United States of America, and the President's daughter has been kidnapped by a specific group, and she's somewhere in Spain. So Leon has to go rescue her. Just like in the original, he comes upon the village, and of course, hell happens.
You gotta be kidding me.
Of course, there is alterations with the story in some aspects, but not entirely. They are actually very respectful to the story and the source material. At least Capcom knew what they were doing with this, and they respected their original source material here. Some of the scenes in here play out a little differently in some cases. While there's still the same lines or dialogue from the original, some of it has also been cut out, but there's also different points where certain characters will be with you in specific missions when they weren't in the original game, which is actually pretty interesting. It could give you some depth to specific characters. Now, Leon, remember, this is going back to Resident Evil 2 Remake's timeline. So this is its timeline, the remake timeline. And Leon's pretty much the same as he was in that one. And then, of course, you have Ada, Louis, and Ashley, and of course the baddies. Krauser, they're all here. I will note though, I do think that Louis's character is a bit more developed than he was in the original game, because this time there's actually a bit of more motive with him, and he's more mysterious. And I actually like that change with him in this version. Of course, there were some things that were cut out from the original. Some people may have an issue with it. I felt like this was being more serious than the original, since the original would sometimes not take itself seriously, but then it would. This one is more darker and serious in a lot of ways. Now the gameplay, oh my gosh, it's really revamped. Let's say Resident Evil 2 Remake, like that. Make it much more fun. The gameplay mechanics is really good. However, what's interesting about the gameplay in this one is that you can mix gunpowder and make more bullets and stuff for your guns. And of course the same mode, combining herbs and stuff to get better health. and of course attaching specific things to your gun. The box system is still there.
Yet you can still upgrade the box, just so you could add more stuff. Some people may like the box system, but I've also heard that other people didn't really like the box system. I'm kind of like in the mixture between not really caring to not really liking it that much. I mean, it's cool to organize and all that, but still, just, eh.
Now, when you collect stuff to give to the merchant, yes, the merchant is also still in here. You can also add specific crystals and stuff on specific items to make the price go up, and that way you could get more money and then get more weapons. Overall, though, the gameplay is so much fun. It's so revamped. I like it. It was so exciting playing it. I was just really into it. I do have at least a few issues, though. They're minor, but I'll start with the first minor one. Is the merchant. You can't shoot him. Like in the original, if you shoot him, then the game's going to be even harder than if you didn't, because he gives you weapons. In here, you can't shoot him. You don't even have the option. I mean, that was what was interesting about the original game. On the other hand, why would you want to shoot him? He's helping you out. But here are the least two minor ones. The knife is either a yay or nay, because if you use the knife, it actually takes damage and then it breaks. So in the end, you kind of, yeah, I'm not really a fan of that, because in the original, you could at least use your knife and all that. But I guess for this sense, it makes it more intense, because if you break the knife, then you don't have a knife, or you could save your attack with the knife for another run-in with the ganados, or save the knife for a specific other boss battle or whatnot. So I think it gives you at least some challenge there. It's just a little bit aggravating that you will lose a knife, but of course you can find knives everywhere, just like gun ammo and all that. Of course you have these little side missions where you could shoot jewelry or something to get, I guess, extra points and all that. I didn't do all of them. Mostly I was following the story. The other minor issue that I have in this game is that there's really no dodge in this game. They do give you a dodge moment, but that's almost like a quick time event. And if you're not fast enough, you're going to get hit. That happened to me a few times. So it's annoying that there's no dodge mechanic in here. A bit of a problem there, because I was always at these points in the game where I wanted to dodge, but I couldn't. I almost in the back of my head, I wanted to dodge, and I end up getting hit anyway. Most of the time you have to run. And there are a few texture issues, especially in this part in the lake. Notice that. Yes, bit of an issue there. But what can you do? I know there was a few glitches that happened where the ground was clear and I could see like the water and all that. This only happened though when I had the game still on, in a sense, after turning off my Xbox Series X. But after I closed the game and rebooted it up again, it fixed that problem. So you might run into that glitch. As for Ashley's gameplay mechanic, it's also improved a lot. And to be honest, her character is actually more likable in here than she was in the original. In the original, she's pretty annoying, in a sense. In here, she's, well, okay, she's still a damsel in distress. She still gets captured. You might still find that annoying. But something about her character that was changed a bit just made her less annoying and likable, and I was determined to save her in this version of the game. ¿Qué está pasando? ¡Ametralladora! Sí. There is a mercenary mode, which you could play as Leon, and this time Lewis, but no Ada compared to the original, and of course Krauser and Hunk. All of them are in here. I felt like Krauser was probably the best character to use because of the knife swings and all that. And it's just fun to beat your score. It was cool playing as Lewis. You couldn't play him in the original. You can play as Ada in the original, sadly not in here. I only played a little bit of the mercenary mode in the original, just a little bit, but in here I had a lot of fun playing mercenary. And of course when you beat the game, there's also collectibles. You can buy the models. Heck, even when you're playing the game, you could also do these shooting games which will give you some points to unlock these toys, which are models from the original game, which is pretty cool. And graphically, the game just looks beautiful. Details are nice, except for the texture issues in the like area, like I mentioned. And I think they really did a good job with this game, the whole remake. I loved it as much as I did with the original. Now, I will mention there was the whole drama going on recently with one of the voice actresses in this game, and that was Ada. Now, technically, I never understood why they got another voice actress to do her. I mean, they brought the same voice actor for Leon back from the second remake, but they never brought the other voice actress that played Ada in the second remake. I didn't get why they got another voice actress to do her. The voice acting here for her character just didn't feel as impactful as it did with the original Ada voice actress, because she just fit the character so well. Nothing against the voice actress, but you may kind of find a little bit like with that. I still don't get why they couldn't get the other voice actress to do her. I don't understand. But I mean, that's Capcom, and the way if Capcom directed her on this, then that was the issue there. And of course, this game is pretty challenging. You have a lot more enemies thrown at you compared to the original. Of course, it's, you know, an advanced version. And just going to these familiar places that you played in the original is so much fun. And I was curious to see how they did specific things, since I have played the original. And technically, this was the only Resident Evil game I ever beat, so it was nice playing it. And Leon is just the badass as he was in the original. Well, Resident Evil 4 Remake. After I had doubts about the fact that they would remake that game, even though it wasn't as old as like 1, 2, and 3, it's time to eat my doubts. This game is spectacular. It's just as awesome as the original one. I respect the fact that the original did what it did, and it's just an awesome game. And for the time, it revamped the whole horror genre. And now they did it again with the remake. It brings a lot of great stuff to it. Just pretty cool how certain things still stuck from the original to the new. I will say there is some things I do like about the original than the remake. And then of course there's things I like about the remake than the original. So this is kind of a tough choice here. Do I think it is better than the original? I'm going to say I can't say if it's better than the original, because they're actually almost feel like two different games. One's more classic, the other's more modern. And comparing the two, it's hard to say. They both are good in their own way. If you like the 2000s era, then go back to the original. If you like to play modern versions of the Resident Evil series, go to the remake. That's the option there. And personally, I like both. So if I were to rate this in my own word, I will say it is just as freaking awesome as the original game. It just vamps a lot of stuff that I really like in a modern take with this version of the game. I will say, I suggest if you're into Resident Evil 4, but you don't know which one you want to play first, I suggest play the original one first, and then go play the remake. I feel like they are both meant to be played. They're both awesome. I love them both. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Resident Evil 4 Remake original, and I would definitely play it. Personally, I say play the original first, and then that. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Pop Culture Talk Gaming Room Reviews. If you want to follow me and see more stuff like this, subscribe or wherever you're watching. I have a lot of other social media places that I'm posting videos up here and there. They're just a little slower though, because this is the main platform that you're going to see first. Resident Evil was such a fun time, and I gotta say, they did it again. Anyways, peace.
And that's what I'm talking about. All right, you're pretty good. But you're just a cowboy. I got military intelligence. And I'm gonna show both of y'all, including you, Ashley. I really want you to see how I'm capable of handling myself as a military man. So watch and learn. Leon, don't listen to him. He's just an idiot. He's this military pro. I mean, Clone number 4 would probably be able to beat him. I mean, he's a good shot. Blah, blah, blah. Clone number 3. Shut up and watch and learn. Alright, I'll admit, you're good, but you got a freaking machine gun! Oh, shut up, clone number 3. Even if it's a submachine gun, it still packs a punch, and besides, they're both guns. Yeah, of course, you have a handgun with a revolver, but that ain't gonna protect you towards billions of enemies. Machine guns definitely will. See, this is a handmade, this is a well-crafted gun. Same with Leon's. Well-crafted. So don't tell me that you're able to beat my score. You're using a dang machine gun. Or submachine gun. Well, here's the deal. You don't know much military history. You don't know much about aiming right. You just shoot bottles. You don't know how to craft weapons. You are so cocky, you think you're better than me. But to be honest, I am better than you because I know what